Well, hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 1867 of What You Up To Now, documenting the journey as I originally transitioned in 2017 from the brick and mortar corporate world of business over a quarter century in corporate America while simultaneously building and growing and supersizing my own businesses in 27 plus different industries. And then I came online following my divorce and a whole bunch of other nonsense and stuff that happened in my life based on the choices I'd made previously. Uh, I had the opportunity to figure out and say, what do I want to do now? And what does that look like? And so I had always been curious about the internet. So I hopped on and started to learn a whole lot of stuff. Started to go down a whole bunch of roads that weren't right for me. They're super interesting. And, the whole shiny object syndrome where you hear about something and you go study it and learn how to do it. Then you hear about something else that's the latest, greatest thing. And I fell victim to that. I fell victim to comparing myself to others. I never really had the FOMO, fear of missing out. I never even knew what that was till I came online. But did go down some paths that were interesting, learned a lot, figured out what is and isn't for me. So I've fallen into this pattern that I feel comfortable with right now, given the stage of my life and my career where I'm at right now. It's not my forever thing, but it's what I'm doing right now. I'm working with different businesses, helping them to grow and supersize while simultaneously growing my own businesses on the side. And part of that is I like to create content every day. During the pandemic and even before the pandemic, I had started creating daily content. And I'll tell you, I saw one video from 4 years ago and I was horrified. I think it was the day before yesterday. It came up in my feed and I watched a couple minutes of it and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I think, you know what? I still have many of those tendencies. So maybe I should watch some of those videos so that I can continually improve and learn and grow. But for right now, I'm doing what I'm doing. And that is I create 3 pieces of content every morning, including this journal where I'm documenting my journey so I can keep track of it. I am legally blind these days. And so I had to find a creative way to keep track of what I'm doing without having to depend on writing things down, etc. I do still write things down, mainly for memory and retention. And so I can show them to other people. See this cool graphic? I learned to write backwards because my cell phone is an Android phone, and Android, maybe it's got it now. I haven't looked lately, but the ability to flip our videos. So everything appears backwards. If I'm holding up just regular writing, for example, it is going to appear backwards. But over the last couple of years, another useless skill I've acquired is the ability to write backwards pretty well. So this is actually the graphic I used and we shared today because we're talking about the superconscious mind and the different levels of consciousness as part of the Get Your Goals annual challenge. This month we're focusing on mental health, mental well-being, the mental aspect of the life framework that I use to set goals and objectives and to kind of add a little bit of structure to what is otherwise my chaotic life. So I use the 9-part framework: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution, communication, and confidence. Those are the 9 areas that I divide my life up into, and I set goals in those areas. I have long-term legacy goals in those areas, and I break those down every year into what do I need to do this year to make sure I'm going to achieve those lifetime goals. And then I break those down into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces and set action steps and things. If I can get it down to a single daily action for each area of my life, I feel like I'm making progress no matter what every day because I automate some of those things. So even if I have a bad day, we all have bad days, right? I know that I'm still doing the things that I have as habits that are moving me toward those goals and objectives. And that's part of what this year's challenge is all about. How do we make getting what we want less of a struggle and more automatic so that the days that we're not consciously focusing on it, we can still be moving toward it. So we talked about the superconscious today, and I shared a way to tap into that. Whether you believe in the superconscious or not is, of course, up to you. I choose to believe that there's something outside of us that is there and available to help us create what it is that we want in our life. You don't have to believe that, but I do. And as such, so do a whole lot of people. Some scientists don't, some do. It's like everything else, right? We get to believe what we choose to believe. And I say we might as well, since we get to choose, we might as well choose beliefs that support us and help us get what we want. So we talked about the superconscious, and to kind of coincide with that for Supersize Your Business group that I lead and coach is our idiom. I share an idiom every day. I've been doing it for several years now. It started as a short-term solution for content as I was moving. And then I kind of got hooked on it because I've always been interested in words and what things mean and how the same word can mean absolutely totally different things to different people, and how that works and why it's important to understand what things mean to us, but also be open to understanding that that might not mean the exact same thing to someone else. You know, some words are trigger words for people. Some words that you would never think are a trigger word are trigger words for people. So we have to be conscious of our impact, how we define things and how it impacts us, as well as how other people define things and it impacts them, and whether it matters or not. Because a lot of times, guess what? Everybody gets to live in their own reality, me included. And you know, how everyone else chooses to live is really none of my business. So raising consciousness was our topic today. And I talked about 4 different steps that you can use to raise your consciousness, and how that positively impacts our growing and building and supersizing our business. Then I also found another leveling of consciousness that I shared today about, it's actually our levels of awareness and the different stages we go through as we evolve as human beings. I thought it was interesting. All right, that's what I'm working on today. Kids are going snowboarding, so I'm hanging out with their beautiful daughters. Third granddaughter is 3 weeks old today, so that's exciting. And so I've got the 3-week-old and the 2-year-old today. So if I can help you in any way, ask. Otherwise, have a fantastic day. And I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow. I think we're going to talk about the subconscious mind tomorrow. I like to go from super to sub. So we'll probably talk about the subconscious mind tomorrow in the annual challenge. So we'll have a related idiom for supersize your business. And then the day after that, we'll talk about conscious. And we may go into our goal setting for the mental area, an aspect of our life right away, or we might wait till after we do the soul framework. I haven't quite decided yet. Guess what? That's the cool thing about leading your own things. You get to choose and decide when it's right to do different things. All right, have an awesome day, and I'll be with you tomorrow.